Hey everybody, we are covering a Diablo 4 update, most game-changing features in Vessel of Hatred. In this video, we are going to be asking if the crazy changes coming to Vessel of Hatred are going to make a big enough difference to the game. How different is leveling and endgame actually going to be? And lastly, what are some of the things I'm still on the fence about? Now, as we go through these, I do want to know your favorites. Whichever ones you like the most, let me know. And if you think I missed some, definitely hit me up in the comments. So let's jump right in. The very first thing, it's an expansion. And with an expansion in the Diablo series usually comes a new class. The new class this time is the Spiritborn. It is a melee attack character that also calls on the spirits of powerful animal guardians. Whether it be the jaguar, the eagle, the gorilla, or even a centipede of all things. These animal guardians become the core to your abilities for the character and can even be mixed and matched as you progress. One of the things that has been pretty traditional with new classes is usually there is a focus on letting them be powerful, not trying to clip them early on so people can really jump in and enjoy them and play them. And so when this comes out the chute, I think it's going to be an absolute blast, and we as a community get to kind of play it and figure it out together. So with the expansion also comes a new region and a new storyline. And I am most excited about this because of all of my experiences over the last year playing Diablo 4, all the amazing ups and downs and different builds and everything. The thing that still sticks in my head as one of the greatest things is how incredible the cinematics and storyline are in the Diablo universe. Diablo 4 crushed it with its amazing cinematics and playthrough in early game. I absolutely loved it. While people were concerned about the end game, I was still thinking how great that storyline was. Now, what's even more exciting for me is that we get to dig in deeper with one of my favorite characters from the original campaign, and that is spending more time with Mephisto. What are his evil plots? What was he up to all along? Do we get to find more insights onto what was actually going on as he helped us take down his daughter Lilith? Now, what commonly happens in games when they have a major release and they release a new class, a new character, is they tend to neglect the previous characters. And the Diablo 4 team didn't do that this time. They are giving us new abilities for each and every class, things that we have never tested and tried. We got to touch them a little bit in the PTR, and some of them are absolutely incredible, and others are so-so, but the fact that there is something completely new for each of these characters gives us more reason to jump back into our favorite classes, even after we've tested the Spiritborn. Now, at this point, my favorite ability, hands down, has to be the Dance of Knives from the Rogue. It is an absolutely incredible skill for early leveling, and it's scaled to massive amounts of power. I do expect somewhat of a nerf, but it was so powerful that I think it'd still be an extremely playable and enjoyable build. Now, I'm still excited to see what we'll do with the rest. The Druid and its Stoneburst, or the Necro and the Soul Rift. The mighty Throw Axe from the Barbs, giving some range to him, or the Familiars for the Sorceress. Each of these, I think, are going to give a new dynamic to our playthroughs and allow us to see even new crazy builds that we've never seen before. Leveling does not look the same. They have eliminated capstones. They have capped our level at level 60. And a lot of people are freaking out about that, but it played extremely well. You're just done leveling because you just get skill points while you're leveling, so you get 60 total instead of the 50. And then after that, you are just building into your Paragon points. It's a very natural transition, but it does feel like you're continuing the level because it goes right into the Paragon points. There is no overlap in that where you're finally maxed out. And Paragon points, you get a decent amount after you actually hit level 60. It just keeps building, and there is a ton to do with them. Now, one of the coolest things is they gave us a lot more choice on the difficulty that we play. As we level up in the first, there's 4 areas dedicated kind of to our journey from level 1 to 60. And the different areas that add more challenge, but also more reward, open up as we go along. The first 2 areas we can choose from, just like when choosing World Tier 1 or 2 as our start. If we want a little bit of a challenge with a little bit more reward, then we can start there. Around level 10, they open up Expert. And this is a significant jump. If your build isn't quite ready for it, jumping to Expert right away can be tough. I think the good transition here is kind of taking it up as soon as you kind of get your class mission out of the way and open up a bigger jump in power. That's a great time to jump into Expert and start gaining more experience and more gold. Then later at level 50, we'll finally open Penitent, which is the hardest leveling zone that you can do to begin with. And that will take you from 50 to 60. If you can jump, there again they did a decent job of having it be a nice jump, but very doable. If you check your gear, you do some tempering, it's not hard to kind of jump into that next area, giving you the right feel for what you want. There is no worry in coming back. If your character is not clearing as fast as you'd like, it's easy to jump down a level and just play there until you are strong enough to jump up. But I love that we have that option, and there's more freedom than 1 or 2 areas. finally at level 60, we open up our Paragon board with more leveling to be done there, but our skill points are set. We get a total of 60 plus whatever bonus ones we have, and we get to then move on to leveling up our Paragon board. So leveling doesn't feel like it's done. It just feels like now it's separate. Instead of co-leveling to 100 as well as doing the Paragon boards with only benefits to getting Paragon points, you are now going to separate those two and then have a much higher range of points you can collect for the Paragon board and get far more nodes than ever before, adding up power like crazy. Now, what does this all mean to us? Well, ultimately, the early game is absolutely incredible in comparison because it matters more. We aren't just rushing to get to a capstone to then have all of our gear be immediately obsolete. Everything we've done here is we are simply looking for better gear and putting it on and killing more monsters, as I think should be in an ARPG. The feeling that I was kind of just wasting my time and I just had to do bare minimum to get through the capstone because I had to replace it anyway, wasn't as cool as this feels. So now as I get better item level powers and more things open up as my level keeps going up, I am all in normal gear. And so I can keep using this stuff and progressing as much as I'd like to and gearing up when it makes sense to keep my progress up. This is just a much better feel, and I love that what we do here matters. You don't just go to the next areas after the leveling areas, after Penitent, and go into the next Torment and then replace everything immediately with new gear. The Ancestrals are even going to drop rare. So there's just a much better feeling of progress and not complete replacement, like nothing you did mattered so far. Now, I did mention the Torment levels, and that brings me to the next part. I love the changes in how the monsters get powerful and how the experience goes up. It is no longer monster level. It is no longer that some activities basically become completely obsolete as soon as you get strong enough to, clear them easily. The rewards just don't make sense anymore. In the new system, we are going to have 4 more levels of difficulty after our original leveling levels. And that is going to be Torment 1 through 4. Now, what's cool about these is it's all of the difficulties of every activity of every monster is gated more or less by the level that you're in. There is only one exception, and that is the pit. And why? Because the pit is going to be the thing we test against to then unlock the next level of Torment. So instead of being tied to levels, it's going to be how far can you push in the pit. Now, the ability to drop pretty much all of the great stuff starts immediately upon entering Torment 1, but the amount that you get, the amount of items that drop, the commonness of seeing more Ancestrals just starts to increase as you up those Torment levels. But there is so much now to do because none of the activities are just going to fall off and be no longer important in endgame. Whatever you need to do to get more powerful is something that you can focus on. I think this makes it far more enjoyable. And even if you get bored of, say, you've been running a lot of Nightmare Dungeons or running a lot of Pit, you can still go do Hell Tides and still have them be valuable for leveling for your Paragon board. Man, we have covered so much, but there is still more. So let's dig into how gearing feels now. Now, one of the biggest, most notable things in gearing is what we kind of talked about, the ability that from level 1, we are in normal gear all the way to level 60, and we don't see Ancestral till after that, but they've also gotten rid of Sacreds entirely. So there is not going to be 2 cliffs, much less any cliff, because it's going to be a smooth transition where your gear still matters as you move forward. So now when we got to level 60 with our normal gear, we can still, as long as we're maybe powering our glyphs or making sure that we get our points in our Paragon board, we are able to enter into the Torment levels and start unlocking those Ancestrals that are just a much rarer drop than they have been in the past, which I felt was really great. It felt like there's still progression, still what I did, again, matters. As we get these, they're game changing. They all come with a greater fix and the ability to temper twice rather than one, which is what you've been left to. But there is also, you can run. I was able to run through Torment 1 and most of Torment 2 with, I think I got 1 Ancestral piece during that time. So it was not required to do well and to start moving up the Torment levels and get better unlocks. Now, the next one at first glance seemed to me like not really a big deal, but it made a huge improvement to how the game felt for me. They changed up how you get certain materials. So before, we've had to forcibly run Nightmare Dungeons over and over again, and there almost became a conflict between, do we use them for leveling? Are they efficient for that? Am I just tired of running them? Or how do we most optimally run them to get glyph experience to level up our glyphs faster? Because if you do a Nightmare Dungeon, and yeah, you get all the experience that you get, but it takes 15 minutes, well, you're not leveling up your glyphs very fast. And if you try to clear it as fast as possible and you get down to 2 or 3 minute clears, your glyph looks great, but your leveling looks like crap. And so trying to balance these out with an activity is almost in conflict. They have now changed it so as we're going through nightmare dungeons, we are actually, anything we kill can potentially drop masterworking materials. So nightmare dungeons, at least starting at level 50, can now open up masterworking, which is a much better way to do it because now we have reasons to run off and check the side quest, to actually adventure through a dungeon rather than trying to rush through it just to get the maximum amount of benefit. So you may be asking, well, where did they move glyph leveling then? How do we level our glyphs to now? And they have moved it to something that made far more sense. They took it to an activity that is designed to rush through as fast as possible. And that is with the pits. The pits are designed to kill the monsters as fast as possible against the clock to get extra benefits to move up in higher range. And as you move up in higher range, they're now unlocking the ability to level up your glyphs even faster. So now that we've been talking about glyphs, I definitely want to jump into the Paragon board and talk about how this all comes together. The Paragon board is now locked to 5 total boards. So at any given time, besides the starting board, you can add 4 new ones, which I think makes a better choice of like, you have to be very selective in which one you choose. But you're also then locked into the 5 glyphs that you want. So choosing the boards makes a lot more sense for choosing boards that have good side nodes with magic and rares, as well as legendaries, on top of being able to get to a spot or a glyph spot that you want that has the right amount of surrounding things to maximize its benefit. And with the glyphs actually now scaling 2 times instead of 1. So at level 15, you go 1 more range, at level 45, you go another, and they will level all the way to 100, making some massive improvements to the amount of damage that we are looking at. Now, why I think this is so great particularly is that the Paragon board seemed kind of like this torturous zone where you had to be perfectly min-maxed to get the most out of it. And if you were off a little bit, you didn't have a lot of room. And it felt almost like hard to like maneuver back into something that you would really want or needed at the time if your build was suffering in maybe the ability to have elemental resistances or enough power or enough defense. With the limit to the 5 and so many more points going to it and far more nodes on each of the boards, we can make our glyphs crazy powerful, and we can also pull points out of regions if we don't currently need it for our build. If we get some kind of upgrade with a new unique and we say, hey man, we got more power than we need for this area, let's add some more defense and actually we can push harder. This, I think, debugs so much better of what's going right or wrong with your build and gives you the freedom to customize your build the way you want it. Now, before I get into the things that I am still on the fence about, I did want to cover one thing I haven't got to test myself, but it has been such a great add to the previous Diablos, like Diablo 3 being able to add a mercenary felt so good, and it balances out any weaknesses you have. One of the things I really do love about ARPGs is that your ability to like find out what's going on in your build at the time and then solve the puzzle by having mechanics to do that, whether you're tempering different things, whether you're switching out points for the Paragon, you're matching whatever inefficiencies you have with your mercenary. Now, I don't know what level of gear they're going to allow you to have and what big of a difference it's going to make, but the mercenaries are going to have their own skill trees. And there is going to be things that really do change the way we play entirely. Mercenaries allow us to kind of compare, like if you want to be a distance caster, then having something that can go in and take more of the aggro and pull monsters off of you while you just spam damage like crazy can allow us to respec how we do our skill boards, how we do our Paragon, how we do everything. And I am really excited to see the combinations that come out of it. So that finally brings me, where are the things that I'm not quite sure on? The first one, and this is one I actually did get a lot of time with, which is the rune words. If you guys do not know what rune words are yet, it's going to be 2 pieces that you can put into any item that has dual sockets. So there'll be a top half to the rune and a bottom half to the rune. The top half of the rune is a trigger. It'll say, hey, I'll basically, when this happens, we are going to build up these points. The bottom says, when we get to this level of points, then we're going to do this activity. And why I was so unsure on these is I tested a ton of them, and it felt like maybe I was giving up too much power by taking out the gems. I ended up running only with 1 in most cases, and that was Warcry from the Barbarian, because it just made everybody more powerful. Maybe there will be ways that it completely breaks the game that I'm not clear on. I did see some builds that started at the very, very end of it with, full mythics and all kinds of things, play off the runes in very, very powerful ways. And so I'm hopeful, but I just didn't feel it myself. The next thing that I'm kind of on the fence about is going to be the raid dungeons. So there is always a lot of tries for people to kind of force in multiplayer. And if they get it wrong and the cost of trying to group up isn't worth the reward in the thing, then that can leave us in a place where nobody really runs these. As soon as we get the bare minimum of what we want or we play with them at first, then it becomes a dead man zone. I am hoping that the rewards are high enough to really matter for people, that it is worthwhile to take your time to put a group together to get in there. They're saying you can run it in groups of 2, but 4 is ideal, which means that you do have to take the extra time instead of jumping in and playing when you have time, which makes it harder for casuals. If you only have an hour or so to play, waiting like 10, 15 minutes to kind of finalize if the group's all ready can be a pain in the butt. Now, they did add another feature, and again, this was one a little on the fence for me that could help with this, and it's the group finder. If the group finder works really well and it's an active, people are actively using it and people love it, and especially to do more than just, you know, the raid dungeons, but any activity in the game, and it becomes a very prosperous place, then you can jump in and find exactly what you want to do and find a group that's already doing it. And it can be much easier to do. And so I'm hoping this comes together really nicely and there is a thriving community of people using it, and then all these come online. I'm hoping ultimately that I'm wrong and that these aren't things to be worried about. They are going to come out and they're going to be absolutely amazing, and they're going to open up the game in new ways alongside with all the other features that we've seen. Overall, I am extremely optimistic about this game. I am excited. There is so much here that completely changes the game, and it feels like they're actually hearing the player base. Now, if you guys want to see even more of the leveling that's coming to Vessel of Hatred, make sure you check out this video where I go through the 5 things I wish I had known about Diablo 2.0's new leveling.